the devil make you do? An angel told him he's looking for you. Been standing at the crossroad for an hour or two. I hope that you fulfilled your speech. It's gonna be a love conversation within his grasp, but just out of reach. It's gonna be a love conversation. It's gonna be a love conversation. It's gonna be a love conversation. He knows it's all your fault. You're only sorry 'cause you got caught. You said he made you do it. You should never do that. I hope you fulfilled your speech. It's gonna be a rough conversation within his grasp, but just out of reach. It's gonna be a rough conversation. It's gonna be a rough conversation. Ooh. It's gonna be a rough conversation. Every time a coward fails to do the right thing, the devil prevails. He looks over alleys, shelters, and jails. I hope that you fulfilled your speech. It's gonna be a rough conversation within his grasp, just out of reach. It's gonna be a rough conversation. 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 This is a tale of John, Toby, and old Ben. Ben's a grizzly in the hills, an eater of men. Oh, Ben got the scent through the chilling fog. The grizzly wanted lunch of a boy and his dog. Better say your prayers, say them carefully. If you meet old Ben, his last thing to see. John and Kobe were cornered up against the falls, between the rushing water and old Ben's orange arms. Toby jumped vigorously, ran into to hound, but old Ben was a monster and slammed him to the ground. Better say your prayers, say them carefully. If you meet old Ben, Carnies by the fire, drinking whiskey from a jug. Toby's a three-legged dog, sitting on a biscuit rug.
if you let us in. We don't mean the mischief that follows us around. We won't misbehave, we'll promise to keep it down. us we know. Causing pandemonium wherever we go. Pandemonium. Our clumsy poetry gets into your soul. We'll try not to excavate and leave an empty hole. We wear perfume that leaves a funny stench. We'll try not to track in dirt and leave a muddy trench. Stir the pot, we laugh, joke and cuss. Turn it out to pull out folks you wanna be like us. We hate mayhem, he loves us, we know. Cause in pandemonium wherever we go. Pandemonium. Stir the pot, we laugh, joke and curse. Turn it out to pull out folks who wanna be like us. We hate mayhem, he loves us, we know. Causing pandemonium wherever we go. Pandemonium.
Wow,
Hey,
that was great.
welcome everybody to Grove Sessions. That was Mercury Salad. Wonderful set, man. That was amazing. Sounded fantastic. Really excited to be here, back with you guys live again. And we're going to look forward to some chatting with Mercury Salad. My name is Rick Coughlin. I am the CEO and co-founder of Grove Studios. We've been bringing Grove Sessions to you live from quarantine. We've had to do it in some different interesting ways, but we are finally open again at the studio, and we are now moving to recording performances in our courtyard outdoors for the bands and acts that are interested. Today you saw an example of what that production looks like in our courtyard. And big shout out goes to Tim Blackman as the videographer on the project, as well as Taylor Greenshields from Fundamental Sound Company on audio, just making everything sound really sweet. As always, I'm here with Max Price. Max is our head of social media and marketing for Grove. And he's also a producer, rapper, and music business consultant. And I'm here with it's actually they were missing their bass player for the performance, but Brooke Ratliff, Kyle Kipp, and Max Price make up, and Ozzy, and I'm forgetting Ozzy's last name, but Ozzy's not here with us today. It couldn't make it to the performance, but they're a great band, Ypsi Ann Arbor based band, acoustic, funky, twangy, folk rock, really gorgeous guitar playing and vocals, and a unique drum set from Kyle Kipp. So really excited to have you guys here. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you. Beautiful day. Another one. We're really lucky to have this nice weather. I want to just launch right into it, you guys. What's everyone's sort of personal music backstory? And I think it, from a lyric standpoint and a front woman standpoint, makes sense to start with Brooke. Let's talk a little bit about music backstory. Like, take us way back. Like, when did you decide music was a thing that you were going to do?
I had a couple of reboots. I started playing classical guitar when I was 15. And, so I just played classical music and I played flute. I didn't try to write a song or play in a band till I was 24. And I ended up in a band with my boyfriend and they didn't seem to get anything done, or they didn't get anything done that I could participate in. So then I just thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do my own band thing. So I had my first incarnation, and I basically did gothic techno music.
I did not expect that to come out just now. That's pretty awesome. I didn't know that about you.
Well, it gets weirder. If you, I played drums with the Impaler for 2 years.
Oh, yeah, the Impaler. We might have to even go into a little bit, because for the people watching, they might not know who the Impaler is.
You should just bring the Impaler on. Just bring.
That's not a bad
shows.
idea. We might have to make that happen, right?
Yes. Of course, he doesn't drive, so I'm going to have to go pick him up and bring him, which is fine. He's a great guy, but yeah, he does not drive. But way back when, the Impaler, he would do rap songs about vampires, and that's all he did.
I remember. I've seen the Impaler live before.
Mm-hmm. And he would just wear a cape. I mean, he didn't get into the look. He would just wear like a polo shirt and jeans and a black cape. And that was it, keeping it subtle. So there you go. And it was great. It was actually very witty and interesting and fun, because, he was kind of tongue in cheek about it. And so, when someone's like in a club and, the death metal band just finished, and then the Impaler gets up, it was just fun, and just kind of added just like a light, moment to the gloom and doom of, wah,
Yeah, no, I love that. It's such a, that's like one of those, if you know the Detroit music scene, then you would be familiar with who the Impaler is. Really unique.
Mm-hmm.
So you were doing some shows, doing, this gothic techno music.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Then it ran its course, because what I realized is my music tastes changed, and it's like, if I was driving in a car and my own music came on, I probably would switch the channel. It just wasn't a good fit. Like, this is not working. And then what did I do? I studied jazz because I was bored, So I studied jazz vocal for 2 years, and then I bounced into, would be the Nashville Songwriters Association, because they have a Michigan chapter. Because, again, I'm bored. I don't know what I want to do. And that was wonderful, because I really learned how to write a song as far as like a pop music structure or a country structure. So that was great. I did that for about 4 years. And then I think I was ready at that point to put together a collection of music and find people, which takes forever, because I'd moved from Detroit to the Ann Arbor area, and so it took like a good 5 years just to meet people and get people to work with. Unfortunately, music is always tribal, and if you're a woman and you're over 30, there's even more barriers. So eventually I found some good people to work with, and the Ann Arbor Music and Arts Guild, that existed for a few years. That was very helpful. That's where I met Kyle, and so yeah, I just kept kind of rebooting music until I guess I had enough education to have a point of view and decide what I wanted to do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that story too, and I think it's definitely like the salient point to bring up the challenges of being not only a woman in a very much male-dominated kind of field, but also, yeah, the challenges as we all, age. It's like, oh yeah, that's not as cool for some reason, and you know, uh, it's unfortunate, because I think so many artists like write their best stuff as they age. There's a maturity to the songwriting, and the music that comes out, and you guys sound fantastic. It's like really just pleasant and catchy music to listen to.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
And,
for
and
sure.
that's actually the point of it. I mean, the point of the music that I write is this, that it's fun. I wish I could say, like, I'm bearing my soul, but it's really not about me that much. It's about, if I were in the audience, if I were at a bar, what would I like to see on stage? What would keep my attention? What would, give me some happiness and, make me hum as I walked home, that kind of stuff. That's what I think about. So
Yeah, that's smart. Like putting yourself, in the vantage point of who's listening, who like when the song comes on the radio, or who's in the audience. And I like that's really cool that you were part of the National Songwriters Association. What was that experience like?
brutal. They are brutal, because you show up specifically to critiques to have them tear your stuff apart. And what I learned to do was to just do everything they said. Like, even if I thought, well, that's stupid, why would I do that? I would just go home and make myself do it anyway, whatever their suggestion was, because 99% of the time they were right. So it wasn't any more fun than going to the personal trainer. It's like having a personal trainer for songs, and you did 20 push-ups and they're like, no, give me 40. What's wrong with you? That's what it's like. It's brutal. But it works. It works. As long as you're willing to listen and do what they say, it works.
Yeah, accountability, right? It's the accountability factor. It's like, okay, did you work on this? Did you put in the reps? That's something we always talk about at Grove, like doing the reps and getting better at a thing. I mean, even this broadcast is an example of that. If you look at our first one and you look at now, we're getting better all the time. It's like, and songwriting, right, is a lifelong journey for people that take it seriously as you do. And so there's always room for improvement. I mean, I know you guys know this. It's from even an instrument, mastering your instrument, for example, it's a lifelong journey to get better at those things. So that's really cool. And I think it's good advice for, anybody that's listening, that's an artist themselves and wants to, continue to grow. It's like, take feedback, right? As brutal as it can be in your case. So
Just, don't bring an ego. You'll be sorry.
that's right. Check your ego at the door. So you do all of the songwriting. Do you,
No.
or do you, is it more collaborative than it appears? How does that work with you guys? Cause we're going to go through everybody's background a little bit, music experience wise, but, yeah, how does it work?
Well, I write my songs and he writes his songs. And then sometimes he'll even write a particular guitar part for me to play. So we don't sit down and write a song together. It's, I come up with my music and my lyrics. He comes up with his. And then we bicker about it until we get it done.
I love bicker. I love it. But seriously, so that's really cool. It's really interesting because I feel like the songs all fit together very well. I wouldn't be able to tell what was a Brooke song or what was a Kurt song. So that's cool. Do you guys, from a musical backstory and influence wise, do you guys have a similar, influences? Are you guys like miles apart in influence?
Well, I think we do now. I think we do now because we share music with each other. And, one reason I think kind of makes it streamlined is I write all the lyrics. So maybe that helps. But, he's helped sort of influence my musical tastes. I don't know if I've influenced him, but yeah, I mean, he and Kyle as well have introduced me to some really cool bands, like a band that I really like that I never heard of before was the I'm gonna mess it up now. Oh, the Brian Jonestown Massacre. Like, that's a band that I didn't know that Kyle hooked me up to, and you hooked me up to Kristen Hirsch and Cat Power. And so those were names that were floating around, but I didn't really pay attention. So my band members have definitely, brought me music that has been food for thought.
Yeah, and speaking of band members, we have at a remote, undisclosed location, Kyle Kipp over here, the drummer in your band, and I'm a little disappointed with Kyle because he had this cool Max Headroom background, but he changed it on me. I was really excited about the Max Headroom background. Apparently,
Well, if you're nice to me, maybe I'll bring it back.
I can be nice. So, how did the band ultimately form? I mean, I know Brooke was looking for musicians to play with and kind of exact the vision, but how did you get in the mix? And then maybe you can also talk about, maybe you guys could talk a little bit about your bass player who couldn't make it today, but love to hear a little background on how you guys met up and how did Mercury Salad become a thing?
Is this for me?
Yeah,
Sure.
it's for you.
All right. I think I know the answer.
Yay.
First of all, Ozzy Andrews is our bassist, and he is a phenomenal bassist. He's a bassist, as they say. And if you've seen some of the more prominent like folk and rock bands in the area, you've probably seen Ozzy Andrews on stage. And the reason why he couldn't make this session or the live recording is because he's actually driving across the country right now for family reasons. He had to pick up his son out in California and then pick up his mom in New Mexico. So that's a pretty good excuse. But
We'll forgive him.
I hope he makes it back safely so we can all jam again. But so that's Ozzy's story. And then my story, I actually met Brooke and Kurt through the Music and Arts Guild that we were all involved in, and our bands had played shows together. And so we started collaborating, and we kind of became friends and collaborators in the music scene first. And when they needed a drummer, they asked me because they knew that I could drum good enough, I guess. And I thought, yeah, why not? We're all friends, and we respect each other as musicians and people, and we respect each other's different personal tastes and our different intelligences and skills. And I think that makes for a really good group. So we hang out outside of the band as well, which is a really nice thing too. But I'm primarily a guitarist. I don't know if you want me to tell that story, but you
can tell that story.
Ozzy and Kyle both play in Black Jake and the Carnies. So
yeah. So that's another cool thing about the band was Ozzy was already playing with Mercury Salad, so there was that connection there. And Ozzy and I had been playing for a few years in Black Jake and the Carnies, which is a local, I guess you call it like a punk bluegrass type of band. So he and I, worked together there. And when Brooke asked me if I wanted to play some drums for the band, it all sounded like a perfect venture. So here I am. And it's been about 3 years now, 3.5 years since I've been in.
Yeah.
So time's flying. We're having fun.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with the name?
This weirdo here. He's always saying like weird stuff, and that just came out of his mouth.
When you eat tuna, there's was some discussion or concern about tuna having too much mercury. So it's like, oh, so if you eat a tuna salad sandwich, you're really eating a Mercury Salad sandwich. Dropped the sandwich part and just called it Mercury Salad.
Yeah, I think he had a couple of beers at one point. He just looked at me and was called the band Mercury Salad Sandwich to raise the awareness about tuna. I'm like, what?
I love it.
Yeah, let's do that because you know what? That name has built-in internet optimization. There's no
absolutely.
name.
And the greatest band names have already been taken up, like Dr. Pizza, Butthole Surfers. I mean, those are taken. So what else?
Those are...
Ostrich tentacles.
Kurt's mind in mysterious ways.
I one that always comes to mind if we're talking about crazy band names is Hooba Stank, but great on the SEO. I know. Yeah. I think those guys regretted that one years later. It's hard to age into that one. You know what I mean? Because eventually whatever you choose, kind of sticks with you for a while. And
so we already came up with the best band name of all time, but we're not going to use it, but anyone else can. It would be Q-Tip and the Orange Stain.
Nice. Nice. I like that. I actually have one myself. If I could share, if we're talking about crazy band names, but I'm not a rockabilly guitar player. I would like to be and get better at that. But if I was in a rockabilly band, it would be Red Hot and the Bothers. And so, but Red would have 2 D's and 2 T's just to make it extra.
That's good.
Very good.
I think so. And I'd wear a red suit, of course, because Red Hot has to wear a red suit and, slick my hair back or something just to get the whole rockabilly thing going. But
Awesome.
I appreciate your sense of humor. I mean, like I knew there was a little tongue in cheek going on just knowing you guys personally. So I appreciate the story. I mean, we talked a little bit about how you guys got together as a band. Kurt, you as the guitar player and co-songwriter, really from one guitar player to another, enjoy your guitar playing tremendously. Great tone came across in the recording as well. What's some of your musical background?
Well, I kind of grew up blowing my brains out to the Who and eventually Stevie Ray Vaughan. Well, I got a David Bowie, who then I turned me on to Stevie Ray Vaughan, that turned me on to Hendrix, and then I kind of, that's what I was trying to play with cheap versions of Stratocasters. I didn't really have a lot of lessons, which I regret, incidentally. But then I got bored with guitar, and I think at some time I saw Patty Larkin at the Arc, so I got fired up about acoustic guitar. But I've just been kind of doing a mishmash of things, getting this instructional video from this person and that, and doing it at my leisure over decades. So, I mean, maybe if I'd had the lessons, I might be a little further along, or maybe I might have been a little sooner, but it's just, I guess for me, I'm never going to think about mastering the guitar. I'm just trying to be as creative with my own limitations. And that's what's been fun about being in a band, is trying to apply myself to, original music, because then I start to discover things that I wouldn't have discovered. And I just do what I can. And
So the first songs you've ever written were for Mercury Salad, is that right?
yeah, the stuff where I'm bashing away at my acoustic, that's kind of the stuff that's where I came up with those. And then the stuff that I would play along, Brooke wrote like the Grizzly that I played there and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I would, but it was when either one of us comes up with a song, it's like, okay, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this.
So
Yeah.
So here's the thing. One of the songs that we played in our live performance with you guys was "Let It Go," and I think that was the second song that he ever wrote. And
That was the first one. Yeah.
That was the first song he ever wrote, and I just remember boiling with envy. Like, I've been slaving at this for 7 years to try to get good at it, and he just pulled that out. How is that fair? Unfair, in the words of
They call it was that beginner's luck. No, but but seriously, I do like I love, so many musicians that we have on here, and artists, they're super humble about their skills, and I know we're always like trying to get better in our own personal way, but I do think your guitar playing is very tasty, Kurt, and
Thank you.
you'll continue to master in many ways, I'm sure. But I do like, so along the lines of, kind of how you guys came together and music background and everything, you're in the Ypsi, Ann Arbor area. Has that influenced you guys as a band, or, how you've, grown into your current state as music artists in the area? Does the area inform you, like the scene?
Well, we're big fans of a lot of local bands like Black Jake and the Carnies, Los Drogas, Fangs and Twang. We listen to all of them. ZZ Vava, that's another band I really like, with the Whiskey Charmers. So bands like that. And we know quite a few people. Our bass player probably plays with 2 or 3 of them. So I don't know. We love the area, and we love going to see the venues and the bands that play. There's just a lot to enjoy, and we take a little inspiration from that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my songwriting, yeah, I think in the beginning, it did kind of inform what I was doing. But then that kind of changed. I think when we do our third EP, which all the material is pretty much done, it's going to be a little different. So I guess I'm being less influenced by the area because I'm just feeling a little more confident about my own point of view. But
It's awesome.
It's just interesting though, because, you know, folk music is pretty much entrenched in Ann Arbor. Ipsy is a little more open. There's more of a wide range.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you drive to Detroit, it's still, you know, definitely a rock and roll town. So, you know, I'm glad we're here in Ipsy, where, you know, you can basically do whatever you want.
That's true. Yeah.
If you do it well, you're going to find a place to play.
Especially great venues like Ziggy's, you know.
Yeah, shout out Ziggy.
Yeah,
loves
yeah,
it.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think you point out, you know, it's a great, you know, we live in a great area and there's a great scene here. It's always, and there's just so many different genres that you can go out and enjoy. And, you know, we're looking forward to being able to get the venues, you know, back up safely. And I know there's, you know, I know cities and municipalities are making plans to bring some of those performances, you know, outside, weather permitting. So I think we're all looking forward to getting back there. So, you know, you were talking about the project that you're currently working on, but you know, your first project was back in what 2017, and then you had another project, right? Pandemonium. So you have a third project happening. But what was the process of the first project like? And then how, you know, have things changed from project to project? Because you did mention change. And you guys can all weigh in at any point on that conversation.
Well, we started at Backseat Productions, which was Jim Roll's studio. And our drummer at the time was actually Billy Lalonde from Fangs and Twang. So he played and sang on that. And then in the middle of recording, we were actually the last band to come out of Backseat because Jim Roll was actually packing up as he's recording us. And actually we went and we helped him move. We felt it was in our best interest to get him settled as quickly as possible so he would finish our album. So he fortunately landed at Willis Sound. So our first album was recorded and mixed at Backseat Productions. And actually everything was recorded at Backseat. And then he finished up our second EP at Willis Sound. So
awesome.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Shout out to Jim Roll. If you
Jim
don't know
Roll.
Jim Roll, many people do know Jim Roll and his former studio Backseat. And then, now over at Willis Sound, which is another, you know, shout out to those guys over there, Jim Roll being the lead engineer. And then, Jason McGee and Ben Lorenz of Willis Sound, you know, shout out to that studio too. Really good stuff coming out of there.
yeah.
So then what next? So there was that project and then Pandemonium.
Right.
What's the process there?
It was pretty painless because, you know, the board and all the automation that they have at Willis Sound, the way that Jim works is he wants some examples of what you like. So if he's going to sit down and mix, he's like, okay, tell me what you like and send me a song or two or three. And so that's what I did. I don't remember what, but I just let him decide what he wanted to do as far as mixing. I stayed out of it. We all stayed out of it. And then he kind of just sent us his take on it. And we just made a few notes. But yeah, I mean, I figure if you're going to hire somebody good, just, let them do their job.
Yeah, it sounds great. I mean, it's nice working with people that that you can trust and kind of like take your hands off a little bit and know that, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And Jim Roll, I mean, I took a class actually at Washtenaw with him. So
That's
that
right.
must be awesome. To have him engineering your stuff. I know he's super knowledgeable. And you guys have made like such quality music. You guys have played great shows and gotten also some really legit write-ups from like local press and stuff. Do you guys have any advice that you would give any like other bands or artists that might want to follow a similar path to what you guys have?
Gosh, I think Kyle gives us advice all the time. He's actually our grand master. So Kyle, do you have any advice for local bands?
Kyle is also he is also a rock and roll model, right?
Yep.
Kyle is from
Indeed.
Double Elvis.
Just like my business card says.
Kyle has a band.
So what's the advice, Kyle? Give us the advice of how to approach a recording project or what following the path of a local musician. What are the things that you do?
That's a really good question. I'm glad you asked that. That's a really big question. There's so many answers to that. I think every scene is different and every project is different, and you have to be willing to approach each situation in its own unique way. But I don't know. If you wanted me to write a textbook on what to do, I could probably do that, but not right now.
We're gonna wait to see that on the Amazon list soon. Then you heard it here, folks. Officially, Kyle is working on a book.
I guess the only advice I would have is like if the advice has to do with recording, you just shop around and you get references and you hear samples of everything. You usually get what you pay for. Don't go into a studio unless you've done all of the research and so that you know what you're getting. It still will probably take longer and cost more than you think. So you need to be.
That is facts right there.
Yeah, I agree with that. In this day and age where pretty much anybody can record on the simplest devices, you have to really know what you want and what kind of quality you want to have, who you want to work with. But if you want me to answer that question you asked a couple minutes ago, I would have to say, you gotta be in the scene. You have to network and make friends with everybody and keep your ears open and don't pigeonhole yourself. So for example, in this little town that we live in, Ypsilanti, or at least it feels like a little town, but there's a lot of musicians and there's a lot of music happening, and you need to, get out there and meet the people making music and network with them, get to know the club owners and the people that are putting on the shows, and just be a really nice person and try to be helpful and get involved. And as you network and you get to know people, then you start to learn who's got the studios and you start to hear other people's recordings. And if you like the way their recordings sound and you think that could apply to what you're trying to record, then you're off to a good start. So I guess that's a bit of advice from me on this situation here.
Great advice.
Yeah, super solid. I think, and the community is really, whatever community that you're in is what it's all about, right? It's like, it's the music is an art, but it's also a business, and those who are successful, even on a local or regional level, I think do those things, right? And it's less about the business and it's more about people. And I think business follows when good people are involved. So I think you guys are super right about all that stuff. We're kind of in a weird time now, but we are seeing things open back up. It was great to have you guys at the studio performing. It was a beautiful day, and just curious, like, how did it feel? I know you guys have been rehearsing and being safe and responsible in your households, but like, what did it feel like when you guys finally were able to kind of get back together and say, oh, we're gonna do this? Because I think a lot of musicians are feeling a little on the fence. I mean, I'm following in social media, people are, on the fence a little bit, rightfully so, right? But how did that feel for you guys, being able to, kind of have it, even though there weren't really a lot of people there for the performance? What was that like for you guys?
I think it was a nice way to ease back into it because there wasn't a lot of people there, because we weren't trying to cram into the back door of some bar and figure out where to park and shove our stuff up on a band stage or something. I mean, we want to get back to that, but this was a really nice way to kind of get back into it. I mean, we had plenty of room and plenty of time to set up. It was a beautiful day, and it was a gig, but it was very low pressure environment, and I enjoyed it. I was pretty happy with how everything turned out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I think
we
you make a good point.
We want to thank you, Rick and Grove, for having us. We know you're trying to get this started, but I wanted to recommend any other band out there to definitely get a hold of Grove and take this opportunity, because you asked what it was like to play music again after 3 months of not doing that. And it was kind of weird, but once we set up and it was just like old times, it was really fun. We were surrounded by our friends at Grove, and it was really well done. The weather was beautiful, and it was a really cool thing. So you can see in the recording that it was high quality, and we were happy to be part of it. So if you're a local band, contact Grove, and maybe they'll have you on for your own recorded set.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you for the plug. We do appreciate that. It was a lot of fun, I think live streaming is something that's not going away. It's been around for a while. People have been doing it. I think obviously the COVID situation made it a complete necessity. But I think for the foreseeable future, it's great to, have content, and it's great to see live performances even when you can't otherwise make it. So the video will live, as people share it. And it turned out great. It was a great set. It was inspiring to have that time to like actually hear live music again. And I think a lot of people are hopeful, and I think there's, like I said, it's, cities are opening up and closing off streets to accommodate things. And so we're looking forward to what, the city of Ypsi decides. And I think we'll be able to look forward to another live set at some point.